Hello, my name is Ozun Simon, and today my presentation is called Silicon Valley's Silent Struggle, Racial Inequality in the Tech Industry. Right. In this presentation, I will talk about Silicon Valley's ongoing issue with racial inequality. In general, racial inequality isn't discussed often in society. In reality, racial inequality in the tech industry is an undervalued aspect of the legal system. Diversity is a topic that has a lot to do with racial inequality. Diversity numbers in the tech industry are poor, and firms do not support diversity as much as they claim. However, the disadvantage is not limited to the tech industry. In high school, Latino students face an uphill battle against inequality. Due to the difficulties of racial inequality in high school, Latino kids are less likely to pursue a STEM career, believing they have no chance because of Asian American dominance in STEM. The main goal of this presentation is to use visual rhetoric to address and raise awareness about racial inequality in the Latino community, diversity in the Silicon Valley industry, and STEM challenges in high schools. My first claim discusses the lack of opportunities Latinos receive in the tech industry. My claim also states that Asian Americans dominate in terms of gaining more opportunity in the tech industry than Latino and Hispanic representatives. In this slide, the visual representation I utilize helps me prove my claim to be correct, especially in the Silicon Valley of Santa Clara County. The Silicon Valley has a total population of 38.7% in the workforce and only 4.6% of Hispanics in 2000. It then later increases even more in 2010 with 50.1% of Asians in the workforce, and it also decreases the percentage for Latino and Hispanic people with only 4.2%. The data from the visual representation proves Asian Americans predominantly gain advantage of having opportunities in the workforce. Tech companies commit this inequality due to so many of the Asian American students in college, which are more influenced to choose a STEM related major and are also having more job opportunities in Silicon Valley than Latino and Hispanic students. The first image exhibits people protesting for equal job rights in the Silicon Valley, relating very much to the current situation in Silicon Valley. Protesting about the stakeholder is a very important step in achieving the goal of creating more opportunities based on the race in tech industry. My claim 2 now starts to focus more on racial inequality in high school. I have two visual representations to support that. In my first image, it displays high schools in the Bay Area consisting of 66% of Asians and 23% of Hispanics. The high schools with the most educational advantages lacks Latino and Hispanic involvement in the school, but are well efficient with the Asian American students, which proves my claim to be a valid argument. In my second image, it proves Asian Americans are more likely to pursue admissions at four-year institutions compared to Latinos. Latino and Hispanic students end up going to a community college or a California State University due to the lack of opportunities four-year UC institutions provide to them. Community colleges consist of 44% of Latinos, and in California State Universities, they consist of 43% of Latinos. UC admissions provide opportunities to Asian Americans, with 39% of them being admitted and only 27% of Latinos being admitted. The chances for Latinos and Hispanics in UC institutes are twice as low as their opportunities in community colleges and California state colleges. Both charts in my images are indicative of the current issue regarding the lack of inclusion in community colleges and even high schools. Alright, I want to draw attention to the socioeconomic standpoint of tech businesses and Latino/Hispanic representatives in Claim 3. When we talk about socioeconomics, we're talking about a different kind of inequality, money and class inequality. The first graph depicts the rising cost of housing in Silicon Valley, San Francisco, and California as a whole. According to the research, California's housing costs are reasonable because not all counties, particularly in low income cities, resort to racial inequality. However, because Silicon Valley and San Francisco are high tech and commercial centers, housing costs have risen to the point where middle class Latinos are unable to afford it. The Silicon Valley Pain Index, as depicted in the second graphic by San Jose Spotlight, demonstrates that only 4.8% of Latinos work in Silicon Valley tech companies, compared to 47% of Asian Americans working in the tech companies. Based on that specific kind of inequality context, Latino representatives won't be able to afford high housing costs, with 57% of Latino households that are unfortunately not self sufficient. In Claim 4, I develop a concept that is strongly linked to racial inequality. When compared to Latino men, the number of opportunities available to Latino women is much lower. After examining the photographs, I discovered that it is difficult for Latinos to secure a strong position in the tech field, but it is twice as hard for Latino women. According to the first image, Latinos are lowest paid of all women, earning only 0.57 for every dollar they earn, which is a significant disadvantage when compared to Latino men and the broader population. Latino women are particularly disadvantaged in the tech business, not just due to race, but also due to gender inequalities. In the first figure, males are more likely to be considered for a job position than females. It also reveals that only 6.5% of Hispanics are employed in the technology sector. As a result, Latino and Hispanic women have far less possibilities in the tech business than their male counterparts, requiring them to struggle twice as hard. Despite being given a chance, Latina and Hispanic women still face challenges. In Claim 5, the concept of diversity is introduced. As I indicated in my introduction, diversity numbers in the tech industry are low, and tech companies do not support diversity as much as they claim. Making strategies and marketing for establishing diversity is one of the most common blunders made by tech firms. Tech companies go to great lengths to satisfy the public's interest about diversity in the workplace. The first image depicts statistics about Silicon Valley's diversity gaps. When it comes to gender diversity, men have a better chance of landing a job in the computer business. Silicon Valley is already demonstrating that it is not as diverse as it claims. Asian Americans, after Caucasians, are the most numerous in these tech firms, with only 3% of Hispanic employees. This is also highlighted as a problem by Stanford Business School, which questions why tech businesses portray such a vibrant image of diversity and culture, yet they don't take any action. In Claim 6, I state that tech businesses with diversity programs should examine their programs to ensure that they have a greater impact on the situations. Inclusion and representation are critical components that some tech firms still lack. Companies with diversity programs that need to be reevaluated in the tech industry. In the first photo, you can see a Latino student working on a STEM project. This type of involvement, representation, and resourcefulness is especially important for young people. Early engagement and influence on the younger generation can have a good impact. The second photo is a banner from the website blog, which gives some suggestions on how IT companies might create a more diverse workplace. This is a fantastic method for firms like Intel, Apple, Microsoft, and others to become aware of public concerns and taking action. Overall, tech businesses will not be able to improve their diversity if the actions I listed are not taken. Even high school and college students should consider this issue and make sure to raise awareness so that tech corporations are aware of the problem. Claim 6 elaborates on the need for tech corporations to re-evaluate their diversity strategies. Furthermore, we discuss the same subject in Claim 7. This time, however, I'd like to focus on high school diversity programs. High school diversity programs should also be re-evaluated. We won't be able to promote Latino and Hispanic culture if we don't have representation in high school. Promoting STEM programs and informing students about resources early on allows them to gain a better understanding of real world difficulties and challenges. Mathematics is an essential component of STEM related degrees. However, Latino students score poorly in those areas, which also are dominated by Asian students. As seen in Figure 1, Asian students scored 83% for English and 90% for mathematics, but Latinos scored 39% for English and 49% for mathematics, respectively, which is insufficient to persuade universities. High schools should reassess these performances because they are the initial step to success in the STEM industry. The second graph shows the percentage of students from racial minorities who enroll at prestigious universities. As can be seen, Hispanic men have a higher percentage of students who are not enrolled than Asian students. In Claim 8, I reintroduced the technology industry. This claim/slide, on the other hand, talks a lot about immigration laws that IT businesses produce. In terms of quality, immigration laws are superb. However, they must be re-evaluated in the light of the quantity of labor opportunities available to Latino immigrants. Returning to the tech industry, some of the immigration laws employed by tech companies are viable enough to offer equal opportunity, but they should be used more frequently. We undervalue the contributions immigrants make in the workplace, and this needs to change. In the first photograph, individuals are battling for immigration rights in response to ICE's deportation of immigrants. The sign's profound message stuck out to me in this photograph. Children who die in U.S. custody may one day become the CEO of a large tech company. In the second image, quick data facts about immigrants in the labor are displayed. Only 26.1% of immigrants followed a STEM related career. According to one statistic, only 4.8% of immigrants work in computer science, a more Asian dominated area. Racial inequality in the workplace has a variety of issues and circumstances. Now is the moment to act and get started. I want to give a clear plan/idea for the Latino society to come up with a strategy to shed light into the future in this slide and in Claim 9. We need to be able to create programs that appeal to Latino students in order to encourage them to pursue STEM careers. Starting in high school can secure a good future for every Latino. The first image is a poster created by Google, the Student Research Foundation, and the Hispanic Heritage Foundation, all of whom are working together to encourage Latino and Hispanic kids to pursue STEM careers. Beginning to inspire STEM in high school students is an excellent strategy to establish a significant effect. The second comes from a firm called Latino STEM, which organizes fun and enriched STEM activities in high schools that many students enjoy. In Claim 10, I mentioned a Latino foundation that is giving Latino students a fantastic opportunity. Silicon Valley's Hispanic community is creating a plethora of possibilities and support systems for Latino students to take advantage of. The Hispanic Foundation of Silicon Valley is a vital organization for Latino and Hispanic students in the Silicon Valley area. Furthermore, they are strongly geared towards STEM related disciplines, which may provide financial and educational optimism to Latino students and their families. Hispanic Foundation provided both photographs. The Hispanic Foundation are essential for receiving a scholarship or grant. It is a huge help for Latinos and Hispanic students who can't afford to attend a prestigious university. The second image is from a banner for a STEM scholarship seminar for financial assistance that took place in 2019. If organizations like the Hispanic Foundation continue to provide the support they provide now, the Latino community will be assured of a plethora of accessible options. This foundation has the potential to give Latino and Hispanic groups in STEM a bright future. In conclusion, with the use of visual rhetorical analysis, I've raised awareness about racial injustice in the Latino community, as well as diversity in the Silicon Valley tech industry. I've also addressed the need for Latino representation in STEM programs in high schools. As a result, I believe we as a community are heading on the right path, but we have much more work to do. There are many organizations and groups who are very supportive of the Latino community, some of which I've mentioned in this digital short. However, there's always more room for awareness, and that is what my objective is to raise awareness in order to discover more solutions for an issue that is very, very important. This is my works cited page. And thank you so much for taking the time to listen to my digital short for Project 4 in English 1A.